Okay, so a while ago I was browsing around and there was, I believe it was a language learning site oriented to Japanese that has recommended like IPTV as a good tool for language immersion. And so basically what IPTV is it's just standard TV channels over the internet. So there's this whole GitHub repository with like a bunch of playlists for different ones and all that. So you've got your categories and things like that. You've got your language and you've got by country. And so it's all nice and dandy and that kind of a thing. And so they show opening it in like a standard video, whatever, like totem, or you can open it in VLC and go through the playlist like that. But I wanted to do it at MPV, and I remember seeing somewhere that someone had done it with MPV. So when I searched around for it, I found this as one of them. So all it is basically you take this Lua script, you put it in your scripts folder in the config, and then you basically run this command with whatever playlist you have. And luckily, MPV lets you do network or internet links, just like YouTube links and whatnot, but you can do the same thing by taking one of these links and copying and pasting it in place of that there where you put it in. So it gives you the controls. It's actually pretty simple. It's not that hard to really deal with. So you've got like mouse controls or standard keyboard controls. So nothing too hard there. But I wanted to be able to basically pick the playlist and run it without having to think about it and having to go back and forth. So it ended up turning into this script. So you can see I've got a few of the language ones picked and a few of the other category ones. This was kind of more of a test bed to see like how the proof of concept could work. And so if I can run that and I can pick any of these. My D menu does not have any case insensitivity stuff running currently, so when I search for it, it would be. So the interface comes up like this. Oh. And it basically shows you all those channels in it. The MPV overlay is very, very nice. Trust me. Not really, but you know. Oh. So we can select a channel. It takes a second to load, but it will. We can hit that slash again. Oh, to drop the channel list. And then we can hit it again if we want to change channels. Like it mentioned there, we can actually filter it out too just by typing. But yeah. So you can see that it works pretty well. I did mute my desktop audio just barely, so you're not hearing anything that's going on. But so you can look at channels and browse through channels like that. Your other so this works decently for most of my use cases for what I'd be looking at. But then I also was like, well, for a more general use case, what would be good? And so this evolved into this. So not only does it look less convoluted, but now, well, actually it is. I've got a lot of plumbing in here to work with it. So, basically you can see that first off, we pull from the channel list. So if I leave, I've got these comma separated value sheet files in here that allow you to go through and pull the links down. So all I did was I took the graphs, I copied and pasted it into whatever, and then I saved it as a CSV. So now what we're doing, if I go back into here, so we pick from one of those files, and right now it's working from the current working directory. So I do plan on setting it up so that it pulls from the config directory instead. So I'm just going to add that white space in because it'll make it a lot easier for like adding that in. So we've got the case statement that goes through, points to the right CSV file, and then here's where all the plumbing fun happens. So what we do is we take awk and we look for the first, we set our field separator to a comma, which I guess if I would have done it right, I would have left the field separator as a tab, because then I wouldn't have had to add this statement. But then we're only printing out the first field, and we do that on whatever playlist file that we do. And that output gets piped into the menu program, which I'll talk about in a second. And then once we make a selection from our menu, we grep. So it took me a second to go through and look for how to take a standard input as the expression that you use, but I found it. So we select our standard input as the file that we're grepping from. And some of the examples that I found were trying to use inverse, which I didn't want. And so what we do then is we grep for that in the playlist, and then we pipe that into awk once again, and we print out the second field into channels. So channels becomes that second field, and then we run the script on the channels here. And that's about it. So that runs relatively well. So I did run, so some people I know are going to judge me on that. I did run a shell check on it. I will try and look into alternatives because the -c is not POSIX. And shell check does recommend the double quotes around channels for POSIX compliance so as to avoid any weird things, which makes complete sense and I understand because I've had to mess with that with YouTube DL, which can be kind of weird. But so if we run it, so we get our category list or how we want to pick it. So we go with that. So we can search for it, and then it pulls up MPV just the same as every other time. Then we can select our channel and wait for it to load. So that's basically how that works. So one thing I did from the start when I was putting this particular version together is I did look at different menus. So I tried it with a couple different things. The only issue that I've run into is basically with FZF. And so now if I run it, you can see that down at the bottom, we've actually got SLMenu running for us. And so I can select by country, and I can go... Well, that's weird. Okay, so it was cutting it off really weird was all. So I can sit here and go through, and I can find Let's see, let's pick one. Dupe. I can sit here and do the same thing in SLMenu and it works pretty well. Not every one of the channels are gonna be good, so that may not work all the time. And I know there are a number of people that like Rofi, so it does have support for that. So again, we can go through Rofi and get that as well. So I do have support for that. So for the issue that I ran into with FZF is it doesn't use the -P switch for choosing a prompt. And Rofi, DMenu, and SLMenu have that as an option. If I didn't want the prompt, then that would be okay. I still have to kind of explore other menu things in order to figure out what else will work. But for now, I think I've got most of my bases covered with that. So this is basically the script that I have put together that way. It works pretty well, and what's nice is in the menu, whatever you set it to, you do have the option of changing it to do some of D menus or the other menus, other options for like listing and what else. So you do have those filtering options as well. Let me double check how to do that. So if we... Okay, so we can run the iflag and... Where was it? Okay, so L. And then we go -L. Let's go with 15 is a good number. Okay. Okay, so we've got, let's go with language again. And so now that we've got case insensitivity running, we just run it like that, and we've got it again. So, works pretty well. I will probably put it on GitHub as much as I don't want to at the moment. Otherwise, I can put it somewhere else. But this is kind of what it looks like so far, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. But yeah, if this is helpful for those language learners out there, I know in particularly if you know someone that is a language learner that is looking for something like this, then I will kind of make a few finishing touches on it and upload it somewhere. But even if you hate this, comment, do that kind of thing down below. If you find it helpful, like the video, that kind of a thing. And all the links and support links are down there in the description as well, and what have you. So have a good one.